Did you see the riots or whatever, the protests happening in Mexico because of the Latin American
No,
influx of,
no.
God, I have to share this with you.
Oh, that's
Like,
great.
the irony is so sweet. Like, you can't believe. Oh, here it is. A protest in Mexico against illegal immigrants invading from Central America. Here, let me forward this to you. I just think that what concerns me is, and I actually said this to the Canadian guy, while I don't wish ill, I generally don't. I don't even really usually wish comeuppance, but I
Mhm.
do wish for people to have to suffer the repercussions of their actions
Yeah.
because I think that's the only way to learn. So for like all these protests that were in LA against ICE, which I think you said you were part of the Burn Baby Burn contingent down there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was.
Uh,
But by the way, I told you that story. It's some.
I've never seen such a good Molotov cocktail throwing form as yours, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, surgically repaired thing.
I was just gonna say, so like I don't have any sympathy. It's not the word, but I don't have any qualms with what with rounding up. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah. I'm good.
Okay, good, good. I don't have any qualms with them going to work sites, getting illegals, people who are illegally here. I don't have anybody who has a criminal record or not,
Right.
because just by being in the country illegally, I think you've opened yourself
Yeah.
up to it. I don't have an issue with it. While I wouldn't do it that way, I think if you've been here working, I would do it differently. But I don't have any issue with it, and I don't think it's racist because what you shared with me about the 20-point move to the right by the Hispanic
Yeah.
community, they voted for what they're getting as a community,
Yeah.
and I think you sometimes get what you ask for, and if you don't like it when you get it, that's not on me. That's like on you. You
Right.
wanted the wrong thing. You know what
Yeah.
I
Well.
mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's a wonderful H.L. Mencken um, quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something: voters know what they want, and they deserve to get it good and hard. Um,
That's a great quote. That's funny. All right, Chris, we're recording. We were just talking about I was in Toronto and I wanted to share with you. I had a meeting the last day. I was there for a gaming summit thing and I had a meeting with a guy who's a Canadian and he was talking about how he has canceled all of his travel to the US over the last year.
wow.
Hasn't eaten an orange in over a year. It's funny, I brought up to him, and it was really revolving around doing the kind of gaming summits that happen in the US where people from around the world come into town for like the next big one's going to be G2E in Las Vegas in October. There'll be, 100,000 or more people that come from all over the world. And we're talking about how the last one had lower turnout. And I said, "Oh, I wonder what that was." And he was like, "Well, it's the environment in the US. It's not seen as friendly." And I brought up what you and I talked about before with the Olympics and with the World Cup. And he said, "Yeah." He said, I've canceled. He said, "Every Canadian I know has canceled travel,
Yeah.
will not go there." He said there was a Canadian young lady, white Canadian, 18, 19, entered, it wasn't Texas, I don't think, but entered somewhere and was on a legit visa, detained for 3 weeks. And he was like, "We see stories like this. None of us want to come there." You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, "I didn't hear about the Canadian. I did hear about, I think it was German girls in Hawaii or something like that." He said, "Yeah, that one as well." So throwing it back to you,
Yeah.
what are you said it would probably benefit LA if we didn't have the Olympics in the
Yeah.
US, which probably is true. But did you see where the Chilean mom was pulled off the street in New York? And she was actually a legit legal visitor with a legal visa to visit, and her daughter left on the street.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous stuff. It's funny. I know. I go to an annual hockey clinic in July every year, and maybe about a third of the contingent, quarter of the contingent, are Canadian, and most of them have canceled this year. And not that they're particularly fearful. They just don't want the hassle. I mean, it's like who needs to, right? I mean, it's because
Yeah, yeah.
it's not an inexpensive weekend. I mean, because it's like you're
Yeah.
traveling, your hotel and stuff. It's so it's a couple $100, but like, why do it to get your balls broken? It's bad, but the correction was always going to be bad. I mean, apparently there's 85 border encounters yesterday or this week, as opposed to in the thousands, in the 5 to 10,000 range, depending upon where the peak was. And, it's unfortunate, but it's just like, it really is, it's bad and it's an overcorrection. But again, I kind of go back to the point. I mean, I'm certainly not defending it and defending the excesses on it at all. But, in Texas, like places like El Paso and stuff and the Rio Grande Valley. I mean, El Paso was getting 5 to 10,000 fucking migrants a week. And, we sent 44 to fucking Martha's Vineyard and people, and they called them the National Guard. So it became somebody else's problem and now it's not. And I think that, long term, I think it will be good because you'll figure out what kind of immigration policy you should have and what kind of enforcement. And I think that you can't have a legal immigration policy if you tolerate an illegal immigration policy because,
That's well said.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure I saw it somewhere. I'm not that smart enough to come up with that, but I think that kind of looking the other way and, everybody's not an exception. There are exceptions, but everybody's not an exception. Everybody doesn't get amnesty and it has to be fixed. So hopefully after the fever breaks, the United States will come up with a reasonable um, immigration policy that rewards good players and bad players. And again, I kind of got red pilled on the whole thing in, uh, in the 20 teens, when in New York, up in Long Island, there was literally MS-13 gangs terrorizing Central American communities, ethnic communities. The police didn't want to deal with it because it was those people. The Obama administration had a hands-off policy because it was non-narrative. And, I spent 2 days interviewing women whose daughters were gang raped and machete to fucking death. And they couldn't get the DA, the Justice Department, the police, to even address it. Yeah, that's a shame. And, and I think it's like, being Italian ethnicity, it's very similar into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where you had, frankly, probably a little more benign mafia control of things, but it was still, you could terrorize and shake down the locals and the authorities kept their hands off. So I guess that, like, yeah, excesses, yeah, due process, you need all that. ICE agents and law enforcement that are breaking the law by their actions need to be fucking prosecuted and punished severely.
Do you think that's a little unfair to say that though? Because I've heard other people say that these agents are exposing themselves to legal liability, but not to use a Nazi argument,
Yeah.
but they're only following orders. I
Yeah. Well,
mean,
but again, I think that, within the realm of their job, if they aren't following orders,
right.
if there are excesses, like there was one of a dude yesterday, apparently some activist was taking a picture of this guy's license plate and he comes out with a fucking drawn gun. Like in no fucking, unless there was something else going on that you can't hear or something,
Right.
but like under normal circumstances, that guy shouldn't be on the fucking street.
Oh, I thought yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there is a policy for when you pull your weapon, right? But
Yeah.
I thought you were actually even talking more about these guys that like are just snatching legal
Oh, I would.
visitors,
I
like
would. I
that,
mean,
like.
I would. I mean, that
But they're kind of getting bounties on these people, right? Aren't they getting like a $40,000 bonus? I mean, honestly, we've seen a surge in ICE. My understanding, I wouldn't be surprised if there was an article broken in the future that these were all deputized Proud Boys type of situation. Because I don't know where all these ICE agents came from suddenly.
Well, what's interesting is that if you saw the New York City controller and guy running for mayor,
Yeah,
got arrested, and
I saw that.
if you look at the picture, I won't say it's funny, but here's the white guy being corralled by Latinos. I mean, the majority of ICE, I believe, I think it's quite almost fifty
Yes,
percent of
it's
ICE,
very high. Yeah,
and so, but again, you can't have, if you want to have a legal immigration policy, then which I think people do, and what the confines of that are. But like I said, you can't have you can't okay illegal immigration if you want a legal immigration policy. But if you want a legal immigration policy, then you can't have law enforcement authorities violating that either. And I think that,
right.
everybody needs to be fucking cracked down on. I think but I kind of think it was unfortunately inevitable. I mean, inevitable doesn't mean it needs to be tolerated.
I think you're right. I mean, I've always been very conservative. I mean, my ex-wife was from a different country, so I had to go through the legal ringer, and it
Right.
is very onerous and ridiculous, actually, in many ways. So to see people come here illegally, and then to have elected officials act like it's racist to have a border was always annoying for me. Funny enough, I thought about you. Did you see the riots or whatever, the protests happening in Mexico because of the Latin American
No,
influx of? Oh,
no.
oh God, I have to share this with you.
Oh, that's
Like,
great.
the irony is so sweet. Like, you just can't, you can't believe. Oh, here it is. A protest in Mexico against illegal immigrants invading from Central America. Here, let me forward this to you. I just think that what concerns me is, and I actually said this to the Canadian guy, while I don't wish ill, I generally don't. I don't even really usually wish comeuppance, but I
Sure.
do wish for people to have to suffer the repercussions of their actions
Yeah.
because I think that's the only way to learn. For like all these protests that were in LA against ICE, which I think you said you were part of the Burn Baby Burn contingent down there, right?
Yeah. I was. But by the way, I told you that story.
I've never seen such a good Molotov cocktail throwing form as yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, surgically repaired.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so like I don't have any sympathy. It's not the word, but I don't have any qualms with rounding up. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good, good. I don't have any qualms with them going to work sites, getting illegals, people who are illegally here. I don't have anybody who has a criminal record or not,
Right.
because just by being in the country illegally, I think you've opened yourself
Yeah.
up to it. I don't have an issue with it. While I wouldn't do it that way, I think if you've been here working, I would do it differently. But I don't have any issue with it, and I don't think it's racist because what you shared with me about the 20-point move to the right by the Hispanic
Yeah.
community, they voted for what they're getting as a community, and I think you sometimes get what you ask for, and if you don't like it when you get it, that's not on me. That's like on you. You
Right.
wanted the wrong thing. You know what
Yeah.
I
Well.
mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's a wonderful H.L. Mencken quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something: voters know what they want, and they deserve to get it good and hard.
That's a great quote. That's funny.
But yeah, no, and again, I mean, I think it's tragic. I think it's bad. I mean, there are people that there's a if you believe the news stories, and again, I say believe the news stories because a lot of it is the quotes are from immigration lawyers, which is like listening to a defense lawyer, frankly. That, but people that have been trying to do the right thing and have been here and there was the one guy who fucked up the paper, didn't file the paperwork in 2016 when his wife had cancer. Otherwise, he was a model citizen. And
Right.
if that's the case, I mean, stop. You're not the fucking DMV. You know?
Or even arresting these people while they're showing up to immigration
Yeah,
hearings, trying to do that. What is that about?
yeah. I mean,
You know what I mean?
that's stupid. I mean, and again, if people have criminal records and are in the country illegally, fuck you. I mean,
Totally.
but again, but I think that I'm going to call an overcorrection, and hopefully it'll come back to something reasonable and
Okay.
and again, but I think it's unfortunate. I think it's sad, and I mean, it's chemo to the body politic.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said. I mean, like a dam, the correction was going to be nearly as it's the law of physics, right? The every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The
Yeah,
extent to which previous administrations allowed anybody to come in, there was going to be an equal and opposite reaction, right?
yeah.
And
And again, it's unfortunate, but it kind of goes to. I will say that it goes to adulting. Um,
Mm.
in the '80s, there were a number of presidents. In the early '90s, there were a number of presidents who kind of got. You don't have to like the immigration deals they got, but they got immigration deals, and it was they kind of figured it out. But literally since the late OOs or the late the late or the early OOs, I guess what 06, 07, 08 going forward, it's like guys were like fuck it, and I don't want to govern,
Mm.
and I think that the danger of not wanting to govern, you get shit like this.
Yeah.
And again, I think that again, I think that Florida, but really Texas, you know, not complaining, but saying, Jesus, there's 10,000 people a fucking week coming in here. And, the idea that Chicago can't handle 4,000, but somehow fucking El Paso can handle 10,000 a week, and, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, these 2,000 are going to bankrupt the city. No, I mean, so
Maybe if you give them everything.
yeah, I mean, by the way, the New York City mayor's race is really fucking fascinating.
I actually really like this Iran. I guess he's Iranian. I
Yeah,
don't know if he is, but I like that. He's a Democrat socialist, I think. I don't remember his
Mamandi.
name.
Yeah.
Mamandi. I like him. I liked him. I think I shared with you before his Instagram page of him doing like man on the street talking to people. I think he would be the best option for New York, but it's going to end up being Cuomo.
Yeah, he's. I know. Caveat. I am friends with the people who are doing his campaign.
Oh,
Ramon.
really? That's a little. He's pretty far left, no?
Yeah, and they are too. I mean, that's who they do. I mean, they did Fetterman and Bernie and
Oh, okay.
stuff, and really super smart guys, good guy, men and women, guys, generically guys,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
smart guys that do, I think, exceptional work. But yeah, I mean, but it's, what's really interesting from my kind of perspective is that he's running a very modern campaign, and it is a very,
Drill down on that. What's modern about it? Like, what do you like about it?
if you look at his use of, they're turning him, the campaign is about him as a celebrity, and it's about him as a performer. Now he can do it, which is, I mean, he's a fucking the dude should, the dude could be on, have his own talk show tomorrow and you wouldn't
Yeah,
blink, and he'd be
yeah,
better
yeah,
than 90% of the shit on there.
yeah.
Um, but the fact that they made him the center of it, and also the fact that stylistically, it's what I'm going to call Brechtian. And Bertolt Brecht, the playwright, who's, to oversimplify it, he said the audience should always be aware of an act of pleading. And traditionally, and for, I will call my style or my thing, is that I come from the documentary world, that I'm a fly on the wall and I am showing you reality or enhanced reality or made up reality, you take your pick, of stuff that happens. He's directly to it.
Mm.
And when the documentary style works best, as a viewer, you're a fly on the wall and you slowly come to know the candidate and the message, and you listen, you say, I think he's pretty good. I think he's talking to that guy he really likes. You kind of get that piece. This is kind of more in your face, that you know who he is and why he's here, and you get to experience him directly. And it's really ballsy. I think he stumbled a bit on globalized the intifada, and it's kind of, it's like, take the, I mean, by the way, which is where, kind of, as modern a politician as he is, at a certain point you tell guys to take the fucking L.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, I mean, literally, it's, I'm not a crook, and he kind of made it worse. And
yeah,
the answer was, yeah, that was a stupid thing to say. I don't believe that, because everybody has a right to it.
yeah,
It's two fucking sentences, and
yeah,
but as opposed to, like, well, let me explain it. No.
yeah,
But it's really interesting, and the Cuomo thing is really kind of old New York City clubhouse
yeah,
coalition.
yeah,
Now, the people that are doing Cuomo's campaign are kind of New York City establishment kind of consultants, and they're very good. I believe it's Knickerbocker. I don't know who at the firm is, but they're involved with it. But they're very good and very smart. Um, but it's more of a very traditional campaign, and so, it's really interesting. It's fascinating, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, you know,
yeah. You know, the interesting thing about that comment about the Intifada and everything, did you? I didn't watch it. I imagine you, just because you watch those things. Did you watch that debate, the mayoral debate
no,
at all, or no?
no,
Oh, that's right, because you generally don't watch. Did
no,
you? Have you seen any of
yeah,
the polling afterwards, or any of the
yeah.
kind of like?
I've seen the data from it. I thought it was
And
kind of
what did people think about it generally about the?
murky. Didn't change anything really.
Okay,
I mean, there's,
interesting.
that's kind of public data, but it seemed kind of, because the format, I thought the format was good for Cuomo, because it didn't allow a clean win.
Mm.
When if you're the front runner and somebody wants to debate, there's a couple things. if you're the front runner and you're the underdog, the guy behind you always going to want to debate, and your answer is absolutely looking forward to debate. That's always the met.
Totally.
And then you negotiate it to death, and you draw it out, and you wind up with one debate.
Yeah,
But you also, negotiate formats. And if you were an incumbent, the best thing to do is that you want as many people on that forum as possible. I mean, if it's you and the other guy, you risk exponentially to fucking up or him doing good.
totally.
If it's five people,
Was it 5 or 6? Yeah,
six.
exactly.
But yeah, I thought it was
I
five.
saw
Might
it
have
and
been
I was
six.
like, what the fuck?
The Socialist Labor Green Reform Party, and you kind of go like, Jesus Christ.
I knew the Cuomo campaign paid their entry fee, just tried to
Yeah,
get them
no,
in
I
there.
mean that's kind of what you do, and paying the entry fee, but you want them in. Every voice needs to be heard.
Right.
We're a democracy, and you kind of do that because if they get every 2 minutes that dude gets,
2 minutes, you don't have to be talking.
yeah, or your main opponent doesn't have to be talking,
That's right. That's
and
right.
you kind of and newspapers and media kind of going to cover what they're going to cover, and they're going to diffuse the.
Yeah. I'm a little on edge, or yeah, I guess to say on edge, that's not really the right wording. Since the Trump era, I think the Trump era of politics is what we're in. I'm always curious if there is an undercurrent of voters that are going to be the shock. And I'm a little curious about New York right now. Is there an because Cuomo's quite obviously the establishment candidate. And I'm curious if there is enough, if there is a large enough voter cohort that this upstart can get to turn out for him and that is inclined to turn out for him to make a difference. I think that's what happened with Trump is that, at least in 2024, especially, is that he was able to take people that were there.
Yeah, and I think that the interesting, I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head. And there is that group of voters, and again, Trump identified. I mean, and it's really interesting because from a political science standpoint, from a campaign standpoint, which is kind of really what I'm interested in, what the Trump people did got absolutely fucking buried in the analysis is that basically they realized they had maxed out with their base. They
Mm,
couldn't, but the voters they needed to win were voters more likely to vote for Harris. And small number, I mean, but it was within they needed those. And so like literally their entire campaign was based on persuading Harris voters to vote for Trump
mm.
because pretty naturally they were going to be Democrat Harris voters. And so like what is that group in New York? I don't know the answer to it. I mean, I've done a not a lot. I've done maybe half a dozen campaigns in New York in my career. Um, for so much fun because especially back in the day because you'd have three newspapers at each other's throat that had three different perspectives covering it and they're all trying to kill somebody.
Right.
But the city is vibrant. It's so big, and there's the boroughs, which all are kind of different, and then the ethnicities within the boroughs, and then there's like kind of like I remember like doing that. You have to like deal with like the Irish, like the literally the IRA faction in New York
Yeah.
City. Like they're like
Yeah.
strong, and doing spots in Gaelic, and doing
Wow.
spots in Mandarin and stuff, and it's just
Right.
like
Right.
and
That
and
does sound like a fun
Oh,
campaign.
it usually amount of fun. I mean, incredible amount of fun. Like you make a lot of money and you work really hard and it's exhausting, but it's just like you
It's
kind of
almost
go,
a
you get it.
national campaign in a city, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And,
yeah,
and and again, I mean, in New York, unlike you can run for Congress or even governor or even senator in most places, and there's no coverage. I mean,
mm,
literally, there's no coverage. In New York, the candidate farts, and there's like five news stories and a bunch of things. By the way, speaking of no coverage, Padilla, the senior,
uh-huh.
yeah, I
Alex
mean,
Padilla.
yeah, I mean, he gets handcuffed and thrown to the ground at the Christian Gnome thing. They later discovered that the head of her security was also the head of Jill Biden's security. I mean, these guys are just a sign. And so,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
what it says about this guy that they put him on the Jill Biden and like did he is he really good at that or do they just fucking hate him and say, guess what? Guess where you are?
Right.
You're
Right.
getting you get to deal with this pile of shit.
Yeah. He definitely picked the wrong rabbi to usher his career.
Right. Yeah. But the idea that you're a senior United States senator and you walk into a room and forgetting, I'm going to get to whether you're appropriate or not appropriate, but you
Yeah.
walk into a room and nobody knows who the fuck you are.
Right.
I mean, that's like, you're the senator for like the 11th biggest economy in the fucking world,
Yeah.
and nobody knows who the fuck you are. And
Right.
then you get on the floor of the U.S. Senate and you start fucking weepy crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, you kind of go like,
I don't know who I was listening to. I think I told you before, I really like this, while I don't agree with
yeah,
him all the time, but John Kiriakou. I think it was him, but it might have been somebody else who was referencing that. I think Hakeem Jeffries led like a sit in on the steps of the
mhm,
Capitol, and he was like, "What the fuck, man? You're not a college student."
yeah,
Like, and here's the thing, actually, is nobody, where are the lawyers? Is nobody looking at like, how can we actually
yeah,
torpedo the shit out of this legally? Or like, if you want to fight, you don't fight by going to a Kristi Noem press conference. You fight by fucking her department up, her ability to do what she wants to do with all the power that you have.
yeah,
These people are all acting like they have no. I think they're all in on it because they're all acting like they don't know what to do.
yeah. I mean, you're a fucking United States senator, and the amount of power you have is pretty significant. But like, if you were advising Padilla, you would say, legally, what can we do to blah, 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 even
That's
if it's
exactly right.
half-assed. And then you go to that press conference and you wait till it's over and you have the guy serve, here's an injunction, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And
Yeah.
Padilla says, yeah, I started this. And the press all goes to Padilla. I
That's
mean,
right.
so it's a legal thing. And again, getting served, nobody's ready for that ever. And, it becomes a legal story. It becomes a policy story, and you become the center of it, as opposed to this kind of theater kids thing where I'm
Totally.
going to rush. I mean, it's theater kids.
And you turn it, you have the ability to turn to frame the narrative. If you
Yeah.
don't like what they're doing, you put a bill forward in the big beautiful bill and you go on the floor of Congress for an
Yeah.
amendment, and you say, anybody, wherever there's a work site where illegal immigrants are collected, the owner of that site must also be arrested as part of this for illegally hiring illegal immigrants. Then you make them vote on that.
Yeah.
And then you make them explain it to the people why they aren't for going after the people that are hiring these motherfuckers illegally. That's how you do it.
There's a million thing. And again, I didn't come up with the phrase theater kids in politics, but that's it. I mean, you look at I mean, there was a Supreme Court case on trans stuff and trans medical stuff yesterday. And there was a very, very long and detailed and very good article in the New York Times about like the miscalculation on top of miscalculation of bringing that case and the people that brought that case. I mean, the lawyer that brought it is a biological female or biological male, I can't remember,
I don't
but
know.
who uses the name Chase Strangio, who in the New York Times article said a penis isn't part of a male, it's just a rare part of a female. And that's a quote. And you kind of go like, I don't know, if I'm taking the case to the Supreme Court, I don't want somebody fucking clinically insane or who seems to be clinically insane, fucking, and again, I mean, which is, by the way, very different. I had a little interaction online with Sasha Eisenberg, who wrote a very long, very good book called The Engagement. And it's about the history of gay marriage and gay rights in the United States. And it starts in, God, 81, 82. Anyway, I mean, the book is like that. And he talked about how, the battle for gay rights and battle for gay marriage in the United States was this very smart, considered legal political process that, people forget that it was in fucking 2016 when Obama came out for gay marriage. Hillary was unsure of it until 2016.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this kind of really interesting legal thing, as opposed to, according to the New York Times article, this was a giant roll of the dice. And if they cared about the movement, they probably sent it back a decade.
Mm.
And apparently that's not even the worst case. Apparently there's an Alabama case coming up where the discovery has been ridiculous. And again, no matter what, again, I'm going to go back to tactics and campaign stuff because that's what I do, is that it was clearly an activist, look at me theater kid thing as opposed to a legal strategy.
Yeah.
And and at a certain point, I don't have a lot of sympathy for your cause if you don't have the fucking discipline to even think about what you want.
The word discipline was in my mind 100%. Comparing the the equal rights Martin Luther King
Mhm.
tactics for the busing oh man, what was her
Civil
name that
rights,
what was her name that
voting rights,
forgot that refused to give up her seat and go to the
Rosa
back of the bus?
Parks.
Yeah, Rosa Parks. Like that, honestly, that was a setup. No, most
Yeah,
people don't even know that that was
yeah,
a setup, but that was a setup, right?
yeah.
So, but there was so much discipline in that campaign in that strategy from the 50s to his assassination, and it kind of went off the rails after they got what they wanted in 65, and it became a lot more about Vietnam and communism and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But that 10-year period between, say, 53 and 63, 55 and
Mhm.
65 to get to the voting rights amendment and all of those things, very disciplined campaign, targeted, Brown v. Board of Education. Like all of it was intentional. And I wonder how much of it was, I don't know. I'm tired from flying late last night, but who was the first black Chief Justice?
Go on.
Anyway, he was a
God, I could
major.
picture him.
Yes,
Not
right.
Rehnquist.
No.
God,
Anyway, I think he may have been a big piece of that, was that they just had this excellent legal mind who saw the law as a way of being disciplined and getting what they wanted.
Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah,
Thank you
like I
so much.
couldn't forget that.
Yeah,
But by the way,
exactly. Do you agree with that? Do you think
yeah,
that was because of him and they just had like some very clear attorneys and even the leadership? They were like, we need to be very disciplined. We need to know what we want. We need to stick to it. We need to have control over the movement. It can't go off the rails. I don't know. Is that right?
yeah. I mean, there's Eyes on the Prize is also a very good long read, but about the history of the civil rights thing. But yeah, I mean, there is calculation because like literally, it's a military campaign.
Yep.
Another famous one was the Scopes monkey trial,
Ah.
and that was a setup. I mean, literally, I think it was the Sun, Baltimore Tribune.
Oh, really?
Man can spit. Literally, they took out like one ads that like we want somebody to like be the test case for this, and we'll pay all
Huh.
your expense. And it was a setup. I mean, the
I
movie.
didn't
By the
know
way, the
that.
movie's great. The with Spencer Tracy and
Yeah.
but but it was a setup. But like if you want your side to win, that's what you have to do. And it goes to political campaigns too. When political campaigns, I see it especially on the Republican side, is that running spots that aren't going to persuade anybody. One of the things you do in a political campaign, and I have often run afoul of it, is that everybody in the campaign wants to do the great man spot. The candidate is a great man who's done great things, and he's great. And in the 40 plus years I've been doing this, I've done that spot a lot, but like it probably had legitimate purpose twice
Yeah.
because everybody else is like, that's
Not a great man.
yeah, it's that political motherfucker, and I hate, and it's like the best I'm going to get is to hold his nose. On the other hand, there were guys who were like, multi-term and very successful in their office. I'll do Arlo Specter and George Pataki, is that they were almost never in their spots. I remember Specter telling me once, because they review it before it goes out, and Specter said, "That's really good. Take more of me out." Because he understood that if you're a normal person, if you're a politician, you're the fucking enemy.
Mm,
And at best you were tolerated.
mhm.
It's like your drunk cousin coming to fucking Thanksgiving. Do we have to have him over? Yeah, don't worry, he'll be okay. I mean, and that's kind of how people see politicians. But this kind of, I think that, the hubris, and frankly, you can do, it's been since forever, but I think it gets worse. That it's gotten worse. That like this guy can do no wrong, and he's the next FDR, he's the next Reagan, he's the next Roosevelt, whatever the fuck it is. And again, people hate politicians for good reasons.
Totally.
And the idea that you're going to say, "Here I am, aren't you lucky?"
Yeah.
but those spots are fun to do. And frankly, campaigns and the candidate loves them because the guy sits there and watches it fucking 20 times. I
They
am
pay
great.
good money for it.
Right.
You mentioned Reagan. I feel like we have to. We said we were going
Yeah.
to talk about this. Ollie North on Fox News talking about the threat of Iran having any kind of missiles. Obviously, well, I mean, there are many different ways to say this.
Yeah.
It appears that he is all in on Israel and in this situation. Good for him. However, it was pointed out online that this is the same guy that actually was convicted of illegally sending missiles to Iran during Iran-Contra.
Yeah.
I love that we can't escape the past.
Yeah. It's great.
Um,
Right.
what's your takeaway? Is that a fair assessment, do you think, by the way? Like, should he just sit back and shut the fuck up since he was basically part of the whole thing anyway?
Yeah. I guess. I mean, it's an 81-year-old guy. And so I'm like, an 81-year-old guy who hasn't held a position of authority for 40 years. And so, yeah, hypocrite, sure. I mean, it's like you took the conviction, shut the fuck up, right? On the other hand, it's like based on our going back and forth last night, I kind of went back and I read a bunch of it. And I forgot all about the Boland Amendment, and I forgot that Reagan had done the 25th Amendment when he was going under. They put that into play when he was going under for 7 hour surgery and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that shit was all really interesting. Um, and by the way, I'm always in favor of art. I mean, ultimately, it was to fund the Contras in Nicaragua, but I'm always in favor of arms for hostages all the fucking
Mm,
time.
mm.
Especially if I'm a hostage. Like I mean, honestly, you get something I don't need to get something I want.
Right.
Count me in. I mean, unless you're giving them, nuclear bombs or some kind of crazy stuff. But if you're giving what SAM missiles or Stingers or whatever the fuck they were, yeah. How many do you want? Give me the hostages. I mean,
Interesting.
that's kind of my.
So what's your take on the
So
what was it Reagan said? My mind still tells me, my heart and my conscience still tell me I'm right, but my mind tells me I was wrong.
yeah,
Have you ever heard more of a bullshit mea culpa in
great.
your life?
It's great. It's
Get
fucking
the fuck out of here with that
like
shit.
I'm like who
And
wrote
the fact that people ate that up, like, oh, Ronnie, we understand.
like whoever wrote that up. Take the fucking day off, man.
Hell yeah.
So here's, but
You know, Ronald Reagan was literally reading that from one of his speechwriters, like, damn, that's good. You know what I mean?
by the way, there's a really interesting book. It's called Reagan in His Own Hand.
You mentioned it one other
Okay,
time. I have it in my wait list. Please go ahead. But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, I love that you mentioned it because I'm holding it. I'm waiting for it to come
Yeah,
available.
and it's basically, I mean, Reagan really loved the written word, and when he had a weekly radio broadcast for like 20 years, which he wrote himself. And the book is interesting because he hand wrote on yellow tablet all his like 2 minute. It was like a 2 minute thing on radio, and he wrote them all. And he had somebody who gave him research on index cards, and he did it. And then a secretary typed it up. But literally, the guy went through 20 years of writing his own stuff and writing, so as a skill set for a politician, he learned how to talk in sound bites before there was talking in sound bites. But more importantly, he learned how to put stuff in his own voice. Like if you look in like the Obama speech in '04 at the convention,
Yeah.
it's fucking great because it's
Yeah.
in his own voice,
Yeah.
you
It's one
know,
of the best speeches I ever heard in my life.
and it's a great speech because there's a rhythm and a cadence and a this and a that. And the same thing with like the best of Reagan speeches. And it's in his own voice, and both those guys know what it was. But I got to tell you my Ollie North story.
Okay.
So after Iran Contra, Ollie North is going to run for the U.S. Senate in Virginia against Chuck Robb.
Mm.
And there was this giant cattle call for consultants. And I was kind of a little indifferent about it. At the same time, it's nice it wasn't you throw your hat in the ring because it's like a $15 million U.S. Senate race in 1992, which was fucking big ass time money. I mean,
Yeah.
um,
I was
that's like,
still living in Virginia then. I was in
yeah,
middle school. I remember this vaguely.
yeah, it's like pay off the house money. So anyway, you had to send stuff in and whatever the fuck I sent them. I mean, it was still FedEx and mails with like video cassettes. I mean, it was 92. And then I get a phone call and say, hey, it's between you and somebody else. Can you come down and see us? And this is like a Saturday afternoon. I'm like, great. Yeah, sure. When? And they're like, tomorrow morning at, 9 a.m. And I'm like, I don't think I can get there. Well, we've checked your flights and you can get this. And they, like, over the phone, they given me the fucking flight information to fly into Dulles. And I said, all right. And so I drive to Philly, and I get on the plane, and I fucking wind up in Dulles, and this fucking van pulls up, and this dude with sunglasses comes out as I'm, sitting in the front, because it's like, and I'm like, holy fuck, I'm going to get renditioned, and they're going to find me in a fucking, Uruguay prison. So I get in the van, and the guy doesn't say fucking shit. Not fucking, how you doing? Good. Oh, I'm fine. Thank you, sir. Like, this going to take long? Not too long, sir. And it was like, clearly this was the thing. And I know to shut up. And I thought, okay. And so I sit there, we drive 45 fucking minutes out in the middle of nowhere to this kind of nondescript building. And we go in, and I go down the stairs, and we get into this room. I swear I'm not making this up. It looks like a room where you're going to be interrogated by the CIA, because it's like flat walls.
I mean, I'm sure it was a CIA safe house for Ollie, but go ahead.
And I'm sitting there, and I notice a speaker and like a microphone, and I'm there for like a half hour, and I figured there's got to be a camera somewhere, because there was like also like a two-way mirror thing. It looked like a two-way mirror, maybe it wasn't, but and I'm not making sure not to pick my nose or tug at my dick or something, because I don't know what it is. And this guy comes in, who I'm trying to remember, I vaguely remember who it was. And he says, good. He goes, tell me about yourself. And I said, candidate joining us, or well, I said, staff. And they're like, they're all listening in. And so I sat across the table, this kind of Formica table, this kind of like industrial gray kind of police headquarters table. And I kind of did my pitch to him, and it went 45 minutes. And he said, can you hold on for a second? I said, sure. He gets up, he leaves, he comes back like 10 minutes later, and he's got a list of 5 or 6 questions for me. And it's great. And he says, yeah, there's a 1:15 plane back. We can get you back if you leave now. And I said, okay, do you want a bottle of water or go to the bathroom? I said, no, I'm good. And I went back, and I thought, anyway, I didn't get it. Who the fuck knows what I said? Frankly, I'm glad I didn't get it. But, I wanted it because it was $15 million. $15 million. My friend Mike Murphy got it. And there is a documentary which you can find about the campaign, which is worth watching, because it's kind of funny, because all these fucking guys on the campaign thought that the documentary film crew, they were going to come off well. And in the documentary thing, you can see like Mike Murphy fleeting, like he walks into a room, he sees the camera there, and he fucking does a 180 and fucking walks. Like, it's like he looks like fucking Where's Waldo hiding from the camera the whole time. It's really funny. But anyway,
It's like Comey hiding in the drapes of the Oval Office.
yeah, no, I mean, it's really kind of funny. Anyway, the campaign is kind of a fiasco, and so the kicker to so North loses, and the kicker to the story is the Democrat was Chuck Robb, who was actually LBJ's son-in-law, which is,
Oh, I didn't know.
yeah. So at the middle of the campaign, it turns out Chuck Robb was getting massages from different women in his hotel room, and one of them was like the former Miss America or Miss Virginia or some fucking thing. And it blew up, because he was going, like, they were going to run him for president. He was like the next up to run for fucking president, because he was, this, because he was a Vietnam veteran, and he had military service, and he had the,
wasn't he the chair of the Armed Services Committee or something too?
And he had the whole fucking pedigree, until he was getting massages, and they were like, were you naked under the towel? And he was like, mostly naked. I mean, it's worth going back, because it's fucking insane. But anyway, that was the end of it. That was the end of two political careers, Chuck Robb's and Ollie North's. But yeah, I'll never forget that room, sitting there and thinking, like, like, this is going to be my future. I'm going to be like in handcuffs somewhere.
Oh, yeah. That's what you get when you have a CIA guy running for office.
Right. But it was really weird. It was like, no, they're listening in. You kind of go, okay.
Of course they are. Probably been listening in the whole time. I'm sure the van was bugged as well.
But it did make me paranoid. Like,
yeah, of course.
Like, as I'm in the cart, like, I was thinking about like a James Bond movie where the guy leaves the thing and they blow up the van. But yeah,
is there anything else we should cover today? There's too much to cover, honestly. I just feel. But was there anything coming in today that we didn't talk about?
The only
Did you go to the military parade? You didn't go to Trump's birthday?
By the way, were there 2 bigger non-events than the military parade and No Kings rallies?
Nah, yeah.
I mean, and I think, unlike the Civil Rights March, unlike anything meaningful, under anti-war march, these weren't about anything. They were fucking theater.
That's
They
right.
they were like, it was like going to an off-Broadway play, and you kind of go,
Yeah.
you know,
You know what rubbed me a little raw though is I happened to overhear some of the military march stuff, and they were like interviewing soldiers, and
yeah,
just the fawning over the dear leader, and
yeah,
then also kind of the way when he, I guess they did like a casting call of the soldiers when he went to that base,
yeah,
and they're standing behind them. It was like no fat soldiers, and they actually pre-screened party affiliation, like
yeah,
where they, I don't know if they came right out and asked because you're supposed to be an
yeah.
apolitical organization, but they did something to screen out anybody that would be. I don't like, it is slightly terrifying to me, the degree to which the military is becoming politicized.
And being politicized for a theater kid's approach. If
Yes,
you are my age or older, when you saw the Russian military parades in the 70s and 80s, you said, you looked at it and you said, what a bunch of, you didn't say what a fearful fighting force. You said, what a bunch of fucking jamokes.
totally.
Because if you are American, your reference to fighting men, frankly, is World War, and movies, pictures, books, documentary, whatever it is. It's dudes fucking beat up in the fucking trenches who were your average guy who got sucked into the draft to defeat fascism and came back. But
Yeah,
it's some guy with 4 fucking days growth, eating a cold K ration, smoking a lucky.
yeah,
And I
with a
think,
1,000 yard stare.
yeah, and I think that is American military at its best has never been a show off thing. I mean,
100%.
I just finished, I know I've mentioned this incredible book about the dropping of the bomb.
Mm.
And these guys took it very seriously. They were lifers, but they were, even going up to Truman, these guys were incredibly unpretentious. They were very strict on protocol and discipline. I'll use that word again, but they didn't give a fucking rat's ass about the theatrics of it. They were there, they were men to do a job. And again, I think the whole problem with this military parade is that it was theatrical. And
And almost in the worst kind of way, don't you think, Chris? Because it didn't come across as like we had the world's finest fighting force.
no,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it didn't have that energy of like, don't fuck with us. You know
no,
what I
no,
mean?
it was theatrical. And I think that and if you wanted to do that, I think we're going to celebrate the Army's 250th anniversary at some event somewhere, not a parade, but maybe in a stadium somewhere. And as president of the United States, the president's there and he shakes it. That's the from a purely process standpoint, that's the picture you want, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
You want. I
yeah,
mean, I always think that there's a bunch of pictures. Every president does the Christmas trip or the Easter trip or the Thanksgiving trip to whatever war torn
yeah.
country we happen to be in at a time to do
Mm,
that, and sits and has Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner with the soldiers.
mhm,
That shit is really fucking powerful because they all go fucking nuts.
mm.
And it's the president of the United States being with the grunts, and they're all in. I mean, it's a beautiful picture because he's in a suit or in a bomber jacket or something, and they're all in fucking fatigues, and it's like, fuck yeah.
Mm.
This was again, it was theater kids theatrics. And I think that, whoever decided these were the optics, did not well serve anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of was a bit repulsive for me, but
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think it was a bit repulsive for a lot of people. I mean, and again, it's because it wasn't about the military. It wasn't about
it
the
wasn't.
Army's 200. I'm going to,
And to me, the military and 250 years of the army is about the sacrifice, not the hoorah.
yeah, there is a phrase used, not militarily, but it's a sociological thing, and they call it servant leadership.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
basically, I mean, we just had anniversary of D-Day, and one of the generals was Teddy Roosevelt. I think the third was the
Mhm.
grandson of Teddy Roosevelt, the fucking president, who was 56, needed a cane to get around, and he was on one of the D-Day landings because he wanted to be there with his troops, and he survived it, and he died of a heart attack because he wasn't healthy, but a couple weeks later. But that is moving and meaningful. That kind of servant leadership. I want to be there with my guys. I want to be support. I want to do that. That matters. Not like people
Agreed.
kissing your ass. And again,
Yeah.
it goes to the nature of, I'm going to fucking go off on a tangent. The nature of heroism and what we like. And what we like, I don't know if it's America. I don't know if it's cross culture, but as Americans, it's probably cross culture. We like self sacrificing, stoic leaders.
Mm.
You know, we like John McCain not breaking in the POW camp. We love the soldier who's down the block and you realize he's got fucking 3 Purple Hearts and 20 Bronze Stars and never talks about it. I mean, we like those things. I mean, even we like, the Greek mythology. We like those heroes. Um,
It's interesting you say that though. Do we still like that? Because I actually, the one time I thought Trump's career was over was when he went after McCain, and it
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
It actually didn't hurt him at all. It might have actually helped him,
yeah.
interestingly enough.
I maybe, and I think it's a finer. If it is, it's a finer quality that was lost. But
Yeah.
again, but I think it goes to movies. There was a lovely Frank Capra quote, and he said, um, "A good scene isn't when the actor cries; it's when the audience cries."
Right. That's such a great quote.
Right, and I think that politicians crying crocodile tears. I mean, I'll go back to Padilla crying on the fucking floor of the Senate.
Yeah.
I mean, like that didn't help him. And I look at it and I thought a guy that was a theater kid
Mm.
and then is fucking weepy about it because it didn't go as planned, you
Right.
know, as opposed to being strong about it. It's like, as opposed to crying that they handcuffed me and they threw me to the ground, as opposed to like, they handcuffed me, threw me to the ground, fuck them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I'm drawn to.
It's also, yeah, it's so interesting to me because I still haven't been able to reconcile things in my head. There's actually, though, I don't know if I sent it to you, but there's a YouTube video that talks about kind of the Nietzsche version of why certain politicians, why we like immoral, unethical politicians. And it looks at even current today time. But you talk about like crying and stuff, I thought I generally don't like to see people cry, especially people in power. But when Obama cried after the Newtown shooting
Yeah.
and he couldn't keep it together, I was like, yeah, man, like we should all be crying that we live in a place where this is regardless of the law, but we live in a world where this is possible, is tragic in so many ways for these kids. But again,
The difference is he was crying for somebody else, not himself.
yeah, 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 no, exact. Well, that's very true as well.
Yeah.
But even then, he was attacked on the right. He was attacked on the right, and that to me was think I think in my sociological observation of at least America and probably the world is that when we agree with someone, their actions are always justified. And when we disagree with
Yeah.
someone, every action they take is suspect.
Yeah.
And instantly that became, a way of attacking him to undermine what some people didn't want to see happen as a result of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right?
Trial lawyers have told me that the last thing they want is somebody crying on the stand.
Mm.
Sometimes it happens, but just because people react, it's very common for people to react negatively to it.
Yeah. Because if you don't agree with that person, that will repel you, like that showing of
Yeah.
emotion, right?
Or you think, am I being manipulated here?
Right.
The most powerful thing, I I think, and what trial lawyers have told me, is the person trying to hold it together
Hmm.
and holds it together because it makes them courageous.
Yeah, yeah.
And we like people with courage. I mean, there's a great video again. It's with Eisenhower with Walter Cronkite in 1960 visiting the Normandy graves.
Oh, wow. Never
And
seen it.
which by the way, when you think about it, it was less distance in terms of time than 9/11 was for us now by a considerable
Right,
amount. So,
right.
but Eisenhower's there and he's got this really ugly raincoat on and it's fucking windy and it's raining and it's not great picture, but he's walking on the graves and he's trying to hold it together. And
Mm,
it's incredibly powerful,
mm,
because you kind of get all this. I mean, he pushed those guys there. I mean, that
yeah,
was his job, and he was looking at the guys he knowingly sent to their deaths,
yeah.
and it's a really powerful moment because it wasn't theatrical. I
Right.
mean, he looked like ass. The whole thing looked like ass, but it was raw and it was real, you know.
Yeah, somebody holding back emotion, tears, even in film, to me, is far more
Oh
powerful
my God,
than
yeah.
somebody. Crying scenes are never as powerful. You're
No,
right.
I mean,
To go back to that Capra quote, you're right.
yeah, or I mean, kind of more contemporary thing is that, I didn't particularly care for the movie, but like, I know fucking tough guys that cry at the end of Field of Dreams,
Oh yeah, have a
and
catch. Yeah, yeah,
nobody cries.
yeah. Yeah, right,
But the
right.
emotion of the thing, like the Costner character almost cries. And I think
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
cries, you kind of go, "Oh, a fucking pussy, just fucking play dead,"
yeah. Right, right.
But the fact that he doesn't
Yeah.
is really powerful.
Speaking of about the trial
Yeah.
lawyers, compare that against what was that? I don't like the fucking kid that shot those people in Michigan or whatever. And on the stand, he was like, "Do you remember what I'm talking about?"
Yeah, yeah, fuck yeah, yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, this
yeah.
guy's full of shit, man. Like, I would convict him just for, yeah, I would have convicted that fucking, I would have
Yeah,
given him the chair just for that
yeah, just for
performance.
fucking weeping. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for that bullshit performance.
yeah.
Get
You
out of
get the
here.
chair for being a pussy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, but yeah,
yeah. Get out of here with that shit.
again, I mean, I get people are emotional,
Yeah, yeah.
and God forbid I would be in that kind of situation.
I'm gonna have to check out, see if it's on YouTube, that Eisenhower Cronkite thing
Yeah,
at
it's pretty
Normandy.
interesting. And again, it's because, but I think that anyway, we used to as American, that's what we like. I mean, we like athletes that play injured. You know,
Yeah, right. You
how
hear those
far, I
stories.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's really fucking stupid. I mean, there was, Florida just won the Stanley Cup, and Matthew Kachuk had played. His abductor had torn from the fucking bone,
Oh,
right?
oh.
And you kind of go like, but he won, and who knows if he's got permanent damage? Who the fuck knows? But it's just like, but you kind of go, but as a fan of sport, I fucking love that,
Yeah.
right? All right, man, this was a
All
good one
right.
today.
We didn't do asshole of the week. Is there anybody you want to nominate for the award?
Not off the top of my head.
I kind of feel like this guy Chrisley that got the pardon from what was it? Or was it Chrisley, or what was his name? That Southern guy that got the pardon from Trump. I don't know. He annoys the shit out of me. There's also a group of guys that two guys, and I don't know. It's a little negative to be honest with you, but two gay guys adopted a kid in.
Oh fuck yeah, I read that.
Oh my god,
Yeah, like
what the fuck? Like literally every right wing conspirator said this is what's going to happen, and then man, did they not fail to live up to that fucking
yeah, and it's
bullshit?
like if I was the judge, life in general population prison.
100%,
You're
hundred
gonna
percent. They'll figure out justice.
yeah, you like rape? Okay. I
Yeah,
mean, again, nobody should go to prison to be raped. However, on this case, I'll make an exception.
yeah.
All right, man.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks, brother.
Bye.